Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Lions Den After Dark. I am your host, Lauren Lyons, here with another recap and review of The Traitors Season 4, episodes 4 and 5. But you guys know before we get started, we have to go over a couple of house den rules. Listen, this will be an episode where we're going to talk a lot of trash today. I don't think I have my shades. I'm not seeing them. Because we're going to be shady. We're going there today because when I tell you this episode had me hot, hot, like hot, okay? There's a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. So, of course, all of my critiques, feedback, comments, whatever, are within the confinements of the game. And so keep that in mind because we're going to talk trash. All right. So, of course, also, guys, if I would really appreciate if you would go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also follow me over on TikTok as well, Lauren.Ashley, and at the Lions Den Podcast. We do have a TikTok, but we're more active on our personal account at the moment. So, let's hop right into it because there's a lot that needs to be said and a lot of feelings that I do have. I didn't get my Ulta Beauty tickets today, so yeah. We're gonna let it all out today because why not? It's not been the best day for me, and nor was it the best episode. Um, so first we pick up with episode 4, where you have players that were. Let me see if I can find exactly what the players were first. It was definitely Ron, Caroline, um, Jam Jam. Or no, these are people that Colton accused. Squeeze me. Eric, Caroline, Ron, and I cannot remember the chef's name, but the person from Iron Chef, they were tied to a tree, and Lisa, who's obviously a traitor. We're all tied to a tree, and the traitors had to murder them in their faces. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the cast list for everyone so you guys can know who you're talking about. And also, it's to help me as well. But yeah, so they're tied up to the tree, and here we go. All right, let's move it side by side. There we go. There we go. So we have Kristen. That's her name. Thank you. Shout out to Reality Check for this visual. Want to always give attribution and credit to them. But on the tree was Caroline, Kristen, Eric, Lisa, who is a traitor, and Ron. And if I'm missing someone out, just let me know. And Eric, who were all tied to a tree, and the traitors had to go and murder them face to face, and they left us on a cliffhanger. Well, they decided to murder Caroline as a way to get the scent off of it being a housewife. So this was really for Candace and for Lisa, because there's always a rule of protecting Bravo people. And this year they have decided to break it, which, yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, it's a game. So yeah. uh they go ahead and murder them. Everyone is shocked, but also Caroline was starting to put things together, and Caroline is from Real Housewives of Dubai. So we pick up in the morning before or morning after, and as we're talking, Tiffany is, of course, sharing like her thoughts and her strategy and getting out the different traders, because at this point she's all alone. She's by herself. They've gotten rid of 2 of her people people from her show that she was gonna work with. And so she's talking to them, and she was like, yeah, so our plan is what, Ron, Michael, and maybe Jam Jam, because there were already accusations out there about those 3 individuals. So she's like, okay, so those are our next targets. Those are who we're gonna see who are actual traders. For whatever reason, Colton takes that as a clue that she's a traitor, because she already has it planned on who she wants to be out of this game. Could it be that she's just simply strategizing might be too much to think. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Because I guess people aren't allowed to strategize. People aren't allowed to um talk about who you may think a traitor is. But then it's also like, then what are you supposed to do? Anyway, so before we get to that, they learn that Caroline is murdered, and they go and they do a of course they go and do their missions. And yeah, so their mission was pretty much that they had to go and collect or find these arrows in the field. And if you everyone was split up in their own teams, and once you found the arrow, everyone had a shield at the beginning of the game, and your team could choose who you wanted to eliminate by going and pushing that arrow onto their shield, burning it. Therefore they are up for potentially being murdered tonight. So it's really another way to get people to show their cards and how they're feeling and where they're at. And I do like the approach a little bit better in that it's just not challenges with, see, y'all, it's a darn ladybug. Hold on. Woo, Jesus. Challenges. See, Lord Jesus, this always happens. I don't even know how a ladybug got in here. I don't do bugs, period. But challenges where it's not just you're doing something and you're getting a shield. I think like it's good to always switch up. It's good to, also make people game, encourage gaming, which I think is a pretty common critique that I at least have for the past couple of seasons of the show. So I liked how they're switching up the format and how the missions go. Now, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, I do think missions should mean something a little bit more. And again, I haven't seen Traitors UK and which is I believe the original. So there may be some things that UK does that maybe US should consider doing, but yeah. I do like this direction. I hope they deep dive it a little bit more. So they do this. Well, we have a moment here where Monet decides to target Tiffany's shield, not Colton, Monet, who is in the team with Candace, who is a traitor. And he, of course, goes and does the mistake of saying that he thinks Lisa is a traitor, not knowing that he is also talking to a traitor. So looks like Monet might be in some trouble here, but also, I completely understand that, Traitors is a game where you can't really, like, you can have allies, but you really don't know how, the realness of those allies. But what happened to supporting Black? It's kind of amazing to me that there's no loyalties there. Like, why are we targeting each other? What's that Michael Jackson meme? I was like, hold on. Hands up, don't shoot. What are we doing? I feel like in every single game, it doesn't matter what it is, we need to be Team Black until proven otherwise. I need to go in because usually in other games, there's a disadvantage, right? And in Traitors, I would say casting that there's not really a disadvantage in regards to casting for this particular show. But I'm sorry, like, it's Black for me. No way in the world. I be trying to target you, So it does beg the question beyond race. Do people really truly know what this game is? Because even if I thought you were a traitor, if I'm Monet, like Tiffany was doing what she thought with Michael, why not just get close to her? And then if you think she's a traitor, vote her out at the end. Like, that's a relationship you can have. And other people are doing that too. I was just like, come on now. What happened to be? We can't do that. We gotta be united. Like it's coming together. Uh but no, on a serious note, he doesn't know that he's talking to a traitor when it comes to Candace. So Candace is like, uh-oh, I have to share this information. Because one thing I will say about this season is the traders are absolutely being loyal to each other, which I did not expect, specifically Rob, to actually be loyal to. But he is they're sharing information, they're keeping each other safe. Probably the best traders as far as playing with each other, right? Like the gamers would absolutely, you know, sabotage one another, but they are at least staying loyal to each other. And that's refreshing to see. It's very refreshing to see in the traders this season. So we get that accusation, we come back from the castle, and Colton starts his pitching where he feels and believes that it's Tiffany, and his only reason, let's go back again, his only reason is because she planned out who she wanted to murder. He had no other reason. And at this point, Eric hasn't said anything. He hasn't brought any information. He's quiet as a mouse. But Colton wants to lead the charge. Y'all, my hair looks high key real crazy. But he wants to lead the charge in getting out Tiffany. And so he's starting to share that pitch to people. So he accuses Tiffany, he accuses Ron, Jam, Michael. Mind you, up to this point, everybody has been saying Ron and Michael because people have always side-eyed Ron for what happened with Portia, which I kind of in it to be honest with you, I do think, you know, it's a bit unfair. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. I'm just like playing around with stuff. Um sorry. I'm just playing around with stuff. But I do feel like it's slightly unfair a little bit here because I think that like he made a mistake and he did bring something concrete at least, right? But your accusation was because she simply planned out who they should banish or target. That was what your reasoning was for why she's a traitor, where he literally said she said it and she slipped up at the table. So at least he came with some type of evidence. Now he overestimated Portia, but he had something concrete. So I don't know why people are blaming him for that specifically. And I feel like we're getting too much into our feelings about how we feel about people and people rubbing us the wrong way than actually being strategic and thinking about being a traitor. And we could talk about that a little bit more on if, because I've seen this conversation start to come up, is are the faithfuls losing the plot? And there's something to be said about that. But Michael, on the other hand, you know, Michael is annoying. He is not a people, he's just a bad faithful. And so in games, right, in the reality competition games, social game matters. It matters all the time. And if you're not contributing to the group and you're not positive to the group, then they really don't have a reason to keep you, especially if you're like loud and wrong. There's no point in really keeping you for real. So um social games matter at the end of the day. Now, do I think that people shouldn't only move on emotion with making these type of decisions? Absolutely not. They should not. But it's gonna be a factor because people are humans. They have feelings and emotions. So if you're getting to the point where you're distracting people from playing this game and doing what they need to do, they're gonna get rid of you. Period. It happens all the time in Big Brother. Like they will vote people out because their social game is horrible. Like they don't bring anything to their game. Information is currency. You're not bringing that. You are not helping in round tables figuring out who the traitor is. But one thing you can say about Michael is he's probably the one of the most prepared people for this show in terms of how we should be thinking when it comes to figuring out a traitor. And there's only a few on this cast who I do feel like get that. And I hate that I have to be giving Michael some credit here, but that's gonna be the theme of these episodes. I'm sorry. Like it's gonna be a little bit of the theme. So we get to the round table, and this is where Colton just out of the blue uh goes straight for Tiffany and accuses her. And so at this point, Tiffany is offended. Like Tiffany is mad. She's pissed. She is straight defense mode. And because you could tell she was genuinely just caught off guard. Because it's like, where did my name come from at all? Like, what have I done to make you think that I'm a traitor? And the fact that this man really sat here and said that reasoning. But what makes it worse is the people that sat there and went along with it, because apparently one they were saying that Michael did say something to Tiffany like, hey, Colton brought up your name today, but she didn't know how severe he was going to come at her. They also said that Colton was coming at her, but also other people were also coming at her hard as well. So she was in complete defense mode, which is crazy to me, because I'm like, have y'all lost the plot? Because what on God's green earth? Because she said people's names like everyone else has, does that make her a traitor? And I know, like, she was defensive, right? And she touched on these themes, and she wasn't caught off guard. But I really wish she would have leaned into saying facts, which were both of the gamers both of gamers have been murdered. I am one of the only ones left of the people that are close to me. So, and I wish you would have kind of flipped it on Colton a little bit. You're coming to me telling me that I'm a traitor because I am strategizing on who we should all get out, who we've all said we wanted out. Remember, we've all said we wanted these people out. I didn't just make that up. So you came for my friends. So are you now coming for me because I'm a threat to you? Because maybe you want to get rid of people who may figure out, like, are you a traitor, or are you a selfish faithful? Like, I wish she would have threw it back at him, because that's a valid point. Why would she get rid of the two people she's close to? And there are traitors who do that, but your only evidence is literally just because she was planning ahead. That doesn't make any sense. And I think that, I just lost my whole train of thought. What I was going to say was, oh yeah, when it comes to also suspecting people, and I don't feel like a lot of people use this, but not every person you suspect you have to bring to the table. You can wait and build evidence and really see if this person is a traitor or not. Right? Like, because there are strategies where it's maybe not the best to get out a traitor at the time, right? Like, if it benefits you in some way, if you have a relationship with them. But I just don't understand why Colton could have easily just said, I have these suspicions. Let me watch and observe and see if there's some actual concrete evidence to present. Because if I'm wrong and I'm coming for you hard, people are going to look at me the same way they look at Ron. People are going to look at me because I was aggressively pushing and I was wrong. And I then make myself a target eventually, right? That's what the sensible, I would think, strategy would be. Like, some of this, let me just sit on it and wait. Okay. Well, Tiffany and Colton are going back and forth. She is upset, pissed off, and she just straight up, like, Colton, she wanted to call him stupid, but she was like, I'm smarter than you. She ate that up. And I mean, Colton was physically shaking while still trying to come at her hard. And so she's like, why would you think I'm a traitor? Doesn't make sense. They go back and forth. Honestly, they was giving it up. Like, it was explosive now. Now, was it as explosive as previous seasons? No, which we'll touch on later. But She was going off. Now, at this point, you're thinking, okay, how far is this going to really go? Because everyone was also talking about Ron and Michael in this roundtable, but it got shifted to her. Then out of the blue, Eric goes, well, I remember one detail that I didn't want to bring up, but I pretty sure I heard a traitor laugh, and I'm almost certain it was you, Tiffany. So now, to most people, are convinced that she is now a traitor because Eric says, I believe it was her laugh. Now, this is how you know when Tiffany said, I'm smarter than you, she should have said, I'm smarter than you all, and go around the room, because there's no way. Like, I'm not saying that that's not believable, but I would at least have questions if I'm really here to get out traitors. Okay. I would say, okay, how do you know it was her laugh? Like, how do you know? How do you know? And then you're only bringing this information right now, so you clearly want to get out Tiffany as your, how do we know you just didn't make that up? Like, there's so many questions, and I would have them. I'd be like, so how do we know you didn't make that up? Like, how do we know that's what you heard for real? And what do you mean laugh? Like, again, there's times where you should maybe hold information and make sure you're correct if you're really here to get rid of traitors. So, of course, Tiffany is like, well, you need to get a different career because you can't hear. Oh my God. I mean, she was eating him up, like eating him up. You hear me? She was like, yeah. And it's fair enough because he was like, I have good ears. And they were like, he's a singer. And she was like, well, you need to get your ears checked because clearly it's not well. And I'm gonna be honest, I ain't never heard of Eric a day in my life. So yeah, I was really tickled because I'm like, well, and because we as the audience know she's not a traitor, it was even more embarrassing because it was like, you may want to go get those ears checked. Because, but also, I couldn't help but be like, mm, is this a bit of a microaggression here? Because we know that he probably heard Candace laugh. And, people be saying, like, oh, you got that black girl laugh. And we laugh. We do, all black women, we tend to all laugh in a similar way, which may be a little bit loud. And so it's kind of like, did you hear that, but you didn't really know who? Like, you heard a black girl laugh? Is that what you really wanted to say? Because it was just again, this is why you can wait and hold information to make sure you're correct. But I don't think Eric had ill intentions. I really don't, because you put yourself out there. You really put yourself out there to do that, and that is almost a game ending move, especially if you're wrong. So I don't think he had any ill intentions, but it was kind of like, huh, a laugh. And again, everybody just sat there, ate it up. Ate it up. Because my thing would have been, because I get it. I get that he probably felt like it was smarter to do it at the round table than to plant seeds. But I personally feel like maybe you find that one person you trust and say, hey, this is what I think I heard. I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, you were blindfolded. I'm telling you because we just need to be watchful and see, because this person may be the traitor. You could easily do that if you find somebody you trust. And hope of course, hope you don't get banished, but which I don't think. I think he's had a shield. I think he had a shield. So I'm pretty sure I think he had a shield. I don't remember who all kept their shields, but I want to say Eric kept his shield if I'm not mistaken. But if you remember, put it in the comments. But you could have easily said that. You could have easily just been like, have a person you trust and talk to them and say, hey, we need to just watch her because I feel like it was her, but I don't know. You didn't have to tell the whole group. And if I was sitting at that chair table, I would have pushed you on it. So why did you feel like you were so from a laugh, you couldn't see though, but from a laugh, you think it was her. I don't know. Like I kind of would a little bit cuz what do you mean? That's not anything concrete at all. But so we get to that point. Her and Jam Jam, Jesus, I'm sorry. Her and Jam Jam go back and forth again, and she's like, so because she's accusing Jam Jam, he is like, well, I'll put your name down. Can I do it right now? And so, how do you spell it? So she goes and spells her name Tiffany. Oh my god. She was mad. She was pissed off. And then of course, like well behind the scenes in an interview, she was talking about how her and Rob had an agreement, which is one of the reasons why they started looking at Jam Jam was because they realized if one of them got murdered, that it was Jam Jam because they know that he's in the game world. And Jam Jam, one survivor. Jam Jam knows how to lie and cheat. He's won. He was a good player. He knows how to play in your face, and so he would absolutely be the person to stab you in the back. He would. So they knew, like, if it's one of us, it's Jam Jam. So that's why she shifted to Jam Jam being the third person, but his name was also being brought up too, which again we all know this is wrong. So, but evidently I this is a moment where I can't wait to the reunion because I'm not a too fan of a reunion because I don't the Bravo people be forgetting that this is a game and they get so offended by people playing the game. But I am waiting to see this reunion because I want to see and I want them to talk about what really happened on that round table. It had to get bad enough for a actual traitor, Candace, to feel like she needed to speak up in that moment. It had to be that bad. The dog piling had to be overwhelming. And in that moment, like you could as a black woman, you resonated with that because you've been in I'm pretty sure every black woman has been in a situation where you're made to feel like you're crazy and you're not. It's just people are playing in your face. And to have somebody there to have your back, to speak up on your behalf, or and have the comfort of another black person to be there for you is major and big. So it was a moment absolutely that I think we could all resonate with as being as a black woman could resonate with immediately of not feeling alone because it had to be really bad. Like, because for Candace's game, okay, this is not necessarily a bad thing that you accuse Tiffany. She's a person that absolutely would have probably eventually, probably soon, started looking at Candace and looking at Lisa or looking at Rob. And so it isn't a bad person to banish, but the fact that she felt so bad, it must have been it just must have been brutal. Now, the question is, was it the best move for Candace? I see both sides, or I can see where it could be an issue. So, like for example, people could say if they actually start playing the game, people could say, "Well, Candace only had Tiffany's defense because she knows who a traitor is because she is a traitor." It could absolutely get to that conclusion, but I also feel like because we find out, which we know, because we know Tiffany is not a traitor, they could then trust Candace even the more because she was right about Portia, she was right about Tiffany, and didn't like how both of those situations went down, which both of them are black women. She was right about Portia and she was right about Tiffany. So they could be like, oh, maybe we trust Candace a little bit more because she has a stronger instinct. But it very much could lead you to being like, well, she has good instinct because she's a traitor. That is fair points. But I don't think it was that bad of a move. I really don't. I think she can recover, especially with this cast. I really genuinely don't think it will be an issue anytime soon. Um, and if she, there's, I think, easy points that she can make to get people to back off if they question her about it. Cause she could easily just be like, how they both went was not okay and it was horrible. And I'm gonna speak up when someone is not done right. Like she can easily say that because it was, and everybody agreed how Tiffany went home was not cool, and even how Portia went home was not cool. So she has an argument that if she could land, she could do it. I'm not that worried. But the issue is there's such a big herd mentality, especially with Colton, which I have literally said about that archetype over on TikTok. And I believe I did say it last week. You have Colton, you had last season Dylan, then you had, oh, what's his name? I have his face, but I don't have his name. From season 3. Let's see, let's look it up. What's his name? Season 3. I gotta find his name, child, so we can y'all can remember who I'm talking about. Season 3, we had, oh, that was Dylan. Just kidding. I meant season 2. So yes, season 2, 3, Dylan, Colton, and Peter. Thank you, Peter. How can I forget about Peter? How can I forget about Peter? This is not The Bachelor. How can I forget that with Phaedra? But Dylan, Peter, Colton are the same archetype. Now, and when I mean by that, I don't mean personally. I mean just because I think Colton is probably the most problematic person out of all of them, right? But I mean in terms of their um how they exist in this game. And they are all they are the same. They're the player that you have to be careful about. They're the player that does have a lot of influence in the game and people follow, but they're also very wrong. They're usually wrong, but but they're a dog with a bone and they won't stop. They're relentless. So for some reason traitors tend to follow them and trust their leadership even if they are wrong, and because they know how to rally the troops. They have that influence because they're good old boys and they have good looks, and so people do follow suit with them. And eventually though they do get to the correct answer. That's the issue, is and then when they get to correct answer, they're relentless, and that's where it becomes a problem. So they're all the same in archetype in that regard, and that is Colton. However, I do feel like Colton's a lot more messier. um he's a lot, because there's just no regard, I don't think, for people, because as I don't want to jump ahead, but kind of, because we've kind of covered everything that happened in the episode. But he doesn't let go. Like was very much still very arrogant, like, and he really didn't care after getting a traitor wrong or getting a faithful wrong. uh so, but yes, Tiffany is voted out. They vote her out. Of course, she says she's not a traitor. She is a faithful, and of course, you know she proved that she was smarter than him. And you could tell genuinely, I think more genuinely, that Eric felt bad because, again, you really put yourself out there to be very wrong. So now people are going to obviously question, what did you see that night? Did you really see something? Because you were very wrong and you were so confident. and you brought this information at the round table and it was a setup. But I feel like y'all really can't be as mad because y'all all went along with it, knowing that their theories had very much holes in it. Because one thing about it, Ron's theory was way more tightened up and buttoned up than y'all's. It's not the same. It's not comparable. So if anything, y'all should be looking at Eric and Colton crazy. You should, because there's no way, like, though it wasn't airtight, it didn't fully make sense. Yeah, no, y'all should be more mad at them and looking at them crazy. So we end up pretty much back in episode 5. And at this point, Michael is upset because Michael did build a relationship with Tiffany. And after Candace did speak up, Michael also spoke up too. And was, even though he was the person being accused, he even spoke up and was like, this is crazy. Why are we picking Tiffany? So that's why I'm saying, again, we had to know that it had to be bad. It had to be. Because your name is about to be written down and you're about to be voted out. And you felt led to speak up and be like, it is not her. And that would me put down in my mind, like, well, maybe he's not a traitor, which I think at this point they knew he was not a traitor. Okay. They just knew he wasn't, but they just were sick of him. So, everyone's mad. Everyone, they're upset. They come back the next day, or we first get a murder and we don't know who they're going to murder. So it leaves off on a cliffhanger, but we pick up episode 5 and we find out that Monet was murdered the night before. And of course we know why. Because he went and told a traitor that he wanted another traitor out, and he was suspicious. So of course Lisa was like activated, ready to go, and she was just like, he gotta go. Now, do I think this was the best person to murder? She's lucky that no one else heard it but Candace. But we can't get in the habit of murdering people who say that they're suspicious of us. We are gonna have to write it out. Like, you are gonna have to defend yourself and be ready. And just know that you might get some heat. It's just about how you recover. And that's just the reality of it. It's just never gonna be a situation where you get to the end and nobody ever question you or think about you. That ain't how this game usually works. So I only did it. The only season I think was Sari, but that's because it was season 1 and because she had celebrities and everyday people on her season. So who didn't truly know about her for real. So other than that, I don't think there's, like, no, you gonna have to defend yourself a little bit. You're gonna have to, nuck and buck, and you can't get off. You can vote out everybody who says your name, but they got lucky. It did surprise everyone. People were thrown because they didn't understand the connection on why Monet. So it worked out. Again, another lucky break. So they didn't then go to do their next mission, where they have to get in the water, find this golden coin, and they have to go on a map quest to the different locations and carry the big statue back to the river and stack it in order in a allotted time, and then they would win, I think, $20,000 or something like that. But they also had the option, though, that when they would pick up the statue, or was it a chess piece, I don't know, but statue, there were shields. If one group or one person collects a shield, everyone is vulnerable but that one person. Or if no one decides to get the shield, then there won't be a murder. So everyone, of course, is like, well, no one pick up the shield because we don't want a murder to happen. Of course, traitors do want people to pick up a shield because they want a murder to happen, but they can't. If they push for it, it can paint a target on their back. I think in theory this seemed like a good idea, but honestly, if I don't have to murder somebody, okay, Like, that's not the worst thing in the world, you know? Like, okay, yeah, I mean, we want to get rid of this person, but like, I could just wait to the next banishment, hopefully, you know, if you've been playing it well. I just feel like there could have maybe been a little bit more consequences here, which we can deep dive a little bit later as well. But I was like, okay, sure. So at the end of the day, I think I'm pretty sure no one chose to get a shield. So there won't be a murder that night. I'm pretty sure. I'm not. Maybe because Colton was eyeing it. Maybe that's why he felt so confident in this round table. But I in Candace was certain because she was a part of his group, and she said that they did not. So because they were probably the team that was most likely going to use it, them and the team that had Natalie on there. So we don't know if that team took the shields, but I don't think so. But we'll see. I think we're going to see in episode 6. So we get to the round table, or no, at this point Colton is back at it. Colton decides that he wants to he's pretty much is fed up with Michael, and he says it's Michael. We have to go against Michael. He's just not even he doesn't even have any like decorum about it. He's just shouting it's time for him to go, him or Ron. But mainly he's coming from Michael. So at this point, because Tiffany is not there, you could easily tell that like production and I think Tiffany had a conversation with him about you need to chill because yeah, Michael will be on one. But if I'm being honest with you, he's bringing it. Like he's bringing the drama this season. Because if we didn't have Michael, these roundtables would probably be a little dead. If we be so for real, he's bringing the energy at each roundtable, and I'm entertained. Say what you will, love or hate him, he's entertaining me. He is. So like they need to consider him to put him on villains at this point. Lean in. But so now this sets off Michael. Michael is going completely off. He does not have Tiffany there to calm him down, which, you know, he doesn't have that black woman to calm him down. But he crunk, he lit, he mad, he going off. And I'm not gonna lie to you, everything that he's saying, I fully agreed with. Cause he told Colton, and he said, and he was rolling up on people. He told Colton, he was like, you are over here, you don't even have any respect, and you going off and you making these claims boldly like you just didn't make a bad decision and a bad gameplay last night, and here you are loud about, and like again, when you should be quiet, you should be considerate, like you should be mindful because you were wrong, and you still, instead of being wrong and humbling yourself, and humbling yourself, you're back at it again. You should chill. We shouldn't be listening to you because you was wrong. Trying to figure out why my water won't come out. But anyway. So, and he was correct. Like he was correct. Excuse me. He was absolutely correct. Like, why you sit here loud and wrong, and you will not humble yourself? You just want to be reckless yet again. Because I do think that if I'm in the house, I don't think that he's a traitor for real. I really don't think that he's a traitor. I can't, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Um, I don't think that he's a traitor. You can't. I mean, it's too it it's not the best strategy of a trader to be loud, to be out there. Um he like his actions wouldn't make sense with the murders either. So, and then again, I think the mere fact that he was pushing back on Tiffany, though, I would also, that would cross my mind too. Like, it's not, he's not a traitor. They know he's not a traitor. They do. He's just a bad faithful. So, but at this point, like I said, I think last week, they will vote you out because you are a bad faithful. You, in social game matters in this game, and he has just run out of his luck, and people were just not for it anymore. So we get to the round table, and this is where things get wild. And where things get interesting. And there's a lot to unpack here in this episode. So, yeah. Michael is ready. He's popping off, calling him a failed ringleader. He's going on and on and on. He done came up. Let me tell you something. Like, Michael was going in like he was a freaking housewife. The man had bars. He had bars. Like, the man, he was giving it. He was giving it all. He really was. Like, he said, "You are colluding, commiserating, Colton. Colluding, commiserating, Colton." Now we have to, of course, ignore the fact that commiserating is the wrong word, but which was hilarious because Rob was like, out of all people, "You're using the wrong word." And generally, Love Island people are seen as the ditzy people, but that was hilarious. But when I tell you that man was reading him for filth, and he was going in like, "You are wrong. You're sitting up in here, and you're talking about leading a charge again, and you don't know how to play this game. You're lying. You're the traitor because you're the traitor. You keep acting this way carelessly because you're the traitor. You're the traitor." I mean, he's going off, going off, going off. But he really sticks it when he says, "You he I'm paraphrasing here. He pretty much goes, "You're a traitor and you would know how to lie. You would know." So at that point, people go, "Wait, what?" And they immediately take it as Michael saying, because he lied about being closeted, then that he has the ability and capacity to be a traitor. And at that point, everyone, Johnny, who is the Olympic skater, and others were all like, "Oh, I'm tired of you. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go." And they're upset about it. Now, here are my thoughts on it. When I first heard it, I thought it meant that too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I heard it and I was like, "Wait, huh?" I did. That was my initial reaction. It was because I was like, "Wait, no, he did not." But do I feel like Colton used this up moment to push getting out Michael? Yes, he absolutely did. Cause then it became, I don't even want you here. I'm not comfortable around you. I'm sorry, but housewives have said worse things, done worse, had more bars. Like, are we forgetting last season? Like I just said, Phaedra, she was like, "This is not The Bachelor, and I don't have a rose." I'm mispronouncing her bar that she said to Peter, but that, I mean, it was kind of like, yeah, Colton, you definitely moved this to your advantage um in this game and wanted him out, clearly because you've been targeting him. And oh, she said, "This is not The Bachelor and I don't have to kiss your A for a rose." Like, I can't imagine if like a Portia was on this show or anyone else. Like I don't know, maybe because I'm on Bravo. I don't know. Like I don't. Maybe I'm from Florida. uh, I I do think Michael knew what he said. I think Michael, like he knew what he said, but I do think, but Michael did make it clear that he's talking within the game, and he continued to then share his reasonings within the game why he felt like Colton was not trustworthy. And he again went back to, you've been leading the charge, being careless, you know, loud and wrong. And to me, it's suspicious to me because you don't even care that you got rid of Tiffany. And for me, I feel like with Colton's strategy here, I think Michael's correct. I think Colton is intentionally being loud, intentionally being reckless, because at the end of the day, it benefits him whether a faithful or a traitor leaves anyway. Tiffany leaves, she's a person who could take it all the way. I get rid of you. And if I'm moving in this way throughout the entire game and people are letting me, because again, y'all let him lead the charge with Michael, which Michael's personality didn't help, but they are still following Colton. They are still following suit to him, even though he was very loud and very wrong about Tiffany. He still has influence in the game. And I do think Colton is a person who does move in that privilege of being this, being white, good looking, handsome man, like white male. He moves in that privilege. You could tell he used to get in his way and moving how he want to, and all with his other alleged situations that we ain't talking about. So he's used to that. He's used to that. And I think that's how he's showing up in this game. I think he didn't care that Tiffany was out. I think he, in fact, preferred it. And I'm almost convinced that he was intentional about it. And he's intentional about it with, going to be intentional about it with everyone, meaning he going to keep accusing people left and right, and he don't care who it is. He's going to do it. He's going to be reckless because I think he's betting that if he becomes loud enough, the traitors are going to be scared to kill him, because then it could lead a trail to them. Because they've been keeping Michael in, they've been keeping Ron in, right? People who are good distractions. So if I become a distraction, if I'm loud enough, and then if I have the trust of faithfuls, you're more likely to keep me, because honestly, most of the time with his archetype of a character in Traitors, it's too late. You should have already got them out early. Now it's hard for you to get them. It's hard for you to get rid of that player, because it's going to directly show your hand, the traitor, a hand in a pattern here, because they're going to be like, oh, he was a threat. And Candace disagree with him with Tiffany. Lisa, we didn't talk about that, but he said Lisa's name in front of a bunch of people before that round table, including to Rob. So that then makes Rob vulnerable, because who else was there? Lisa. Okay, so if we get Lisa, and I do feel like if they start looking at Lisa, then their focus is gonna shift from the loudest people to the subtle, and then that thus opens the door to Lisa, to Rob and Candace, because people aren't looking at them for some reason. It switches focus now. They're now going to be looking for something different, because Lisa would not be the stereotypical traitor, which they should be looking anyway. But I think it's dangerous. I really think it's dangerous if they start figuring out one. I think they're all pretty much in trouble. So I think that's what he's betting on. I really do. And I may be giving him too much, and he just may be arrogant, and it's not that much, but that's how I feel. Like I really feel like it's kind of on purpose. I just do. And he just doesn't care. So Michael was clocking that. He was reading him for filth. He was calling it what it was. And that I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And then to find out more information about how about how Colton moves in real life, I was like, Because correct me if I'm wrong, but allegedly, he was stalking. He stalked a young lady, the lady I think that he connected with off of The Bachelorette, and then to find out you went on multiple seasons. I huh? Like I was like, okay, Colton. Whoa, what's going on here? Like wild things are coming out. Wild things are coming out for sure. And I could see those behaviors like that being shown on the show and how he treated it. Cause I do not like how he did Candace. I mean Tiffany. It felt targeted. It felt unnecessary. And I think he used that same influence for whatever reason that he has on everyone to do it to Michael. He just so happens to be the right person, right? Like Michael so happens to be a person that people want out. Um so hey, at this point people are over Michael. They just want him out because he was a bad faithful. But then you do have a few people don't who didn't feel led to do that because people also suspect Ron. And Ron, this was a really bad roundtable. And I just want to say that we cannot fully put the blame on Ron, like people mistreating Ron, because Ron plays a role in this as well. And we need to also be honest about that too. Because again, not only did you get out a black person, I'm gonna go back to that because hello, in most of these games, this is outside of Traitors, right? But in other universe, like other game universes, more specifically Big Brother, I can say this more confidently in Big Brother. But I've seen and observed most of the time, black people don't last long if they get rid of the other black people. Most black people last longer when there are other black people there. So why y'all getting rid of black people? I don't know. But we won't talk about it no more. But I'm just throwing that out there. So maybe when y'all keep going in these games, don't get out the black people. Cause if they gone, you next. But anyway, I guess now here we are. No matter how many are there, no matter if it's a majority, like which is most of the time not a majority, don't get rid of the black people. Come on now. But he made a mistake. Do I feel like people should hold him to that? No. I feel like that's more of a reflection on the cast in regards to intellect. Like maybe. Well, not no, I can't even say that because also what doesn't help is Ron's social game. Ron has a horrible social game with the people. He doesn't engage. He doesn't talk to them. Even if you felt like people looked at you differently, you make them okay with you. You make them feel cool. You make them want to connect with you. The fact that I think it's Dorinda tried to talk to you and engage with you and you shut her down in a very rude way by saying, I don't have to tell you about a F about my family was totally unnecessary. Was totally unnecessary. And the bottom line is when you're playing a game, a reality competition game, emotions do like they matter and they do have their point and part in the game, like they do. No matter if you're a strategic person or whatever, people, let's go back to Big Brother because that's always going to be my point of comparison. Dan's funeral was purely, well, not purely off emotions, but he was able to emotionally move people to then get him back in the game. That was strategy. So emotions are a powerful thing. And it's like Ron, that's why social games matter. And Ron just refuses to do that. I'm not saying that you have to tell your business because you're on TV, but also that part wasn't on film. It seems like she was just trying to get to know you. So if you're also separating and isolating yourself, you cannot get mad if that's the energy that they're giving back to you. Okay. And that's just what it is. So with Ron, that was a bad roundtable. You don't say that. You just made them feel like they can't trust you even the more. And then every time you come to the round table, you wrong. Like you dead wrong. It's wrong. Cause you said Tara because she has little feet and you hurt little feet. What does that even mean? It's the same thing as you think you heard a laugh. It's stupid. And then he thought, who else did he think was a traitor? Oh, what was his hypothesis from the I think it was he thought Michael or Tiffany was a traitor. He thought one of them was a traitor, and because obviously they said they're not a traitor, it threw off his what he thought. And I'm like, yeah, cuz I can't remember exactly, but you be wrong. Loud and wrong. I mean, it was Portia, then it was Mara, for no real reasons. But I would say he's trying probably better than others. But it's like you loud and wrong. So at this point, like a faithful could easily be like, we might as well see if you are a faithful or a traitor. We might as well, because it ain't like you contributing. You don't want to be with nobody. Like you not. We don't care for you because you don't want us to know who you are. We might as well just try it and try to get rid of you. That's where they're at. That happens in a reality competition game. Whether we say people are being too emotional or not, we are people, we have emotions, and those things matter in a game for this exact reason. So sorry, Ron. He will probably be next on the chopping block at this point. But honestly, because he did so bad, you had people disregard what happened between Michael and Colton and still put Ron's name down. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it was Candace, which I was like, girl, this could have blown up in your face if there were other people who also voted for Ron, because they would have easily been like, well, why did you vote Ron? Why didn't you do Michael? Like, that's suspicious. Because I can see a world where it's like sometimes you just go with the majority, which I'm sick of, specifically in this game. So that's why I was like, good, y'all vote for the game, please. Let's make strategic moves here, other than Michael. Look, because there are points to be made. If I didn't know who the Traitors was, why I could think Ron was a traitor, just because, again, emotionally, your social game matters, and he's not doing a good job. But nope, they decide to, majority of them decide to vote out Michael. But you had I wish I had a list of every let me see if I can find a list of all the people who voted out Ron. Hmm. Because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say most of the housewives voted for Ron, which is, I think, pretty telling. Okay, so yeah, it was Candice Dorinda. So that's housewife. Stefan. Oh my God. Hold on, we gotta verify this because this is telling me Stefan Twitch boss, and that man is deceased. It's like, so. Uh, I don't think that's correct. Stefan Twitch boss. I don't think that's what they mean. Steven. So Steven, there is Steven on the cast. That's what they mean. Who is, yeah, from One Tree Hill. So Candace, That was crazy. I'm sorry. So it was Michael, Lisa, which that made sense strategically for Michael to vote, obviously, Ron, because the votes were going his way. Lisa, Candace, Dorinda, and Steven. So that is that what the leftover housewives? Yeah. Leftover housewives and Steven. So that kind of goes back to my point that that line doesn't mean anything to a Bravo person because they've said worse. they said that didn't move them. That didn't move them because they're literally on their shows going for bar, blow for blow, under the like. So I wasn't like surprised, and I was like, huh, let me see, because I thought that was the case, but actually to confirm that yes, the rest of the housewives didn't vote Michael, let you know that yeah, he didn't move them at all. Um, so Michael is at the house finally, but if we be real, Michael brought the season. Like he was the reason that these roundtables be popping off. Like if we be so for real, I don't know if the energy is gonna even really be the same because who gonna really bring it? Like Candace, if you try her, absolutely. Jam might. People want Colton out. Natalie, she been quiet, but she did start to speak up a little bit in this. We saw her come up a little bit now. But I just feel like he was bringing it. Say what you will. He made me entertained. It was what it was. Um, as far as entertainment goes, he was a good choice. He was. It is what it is. And like I said, he was speaking facts. He was speaking facts in regards to how Colton was showing up in this game. And shocking enough, after this situation, the tides are starting to turn on Colton. Like people are starting to look at him because it is a bad strategy. Because again, social game matters, but also if I'm a faithful and I see that you're very carelessly accusing yet another faithful, I would be leery because I would think you are a selfish faithful. You want to get to the end and you want to kick all of us out. You want to be accusatory. And I want to get rid of you because I know you have influence to get everybody to get me out. Because he literally got two people out based on what? Like, especially Tiffany. Based on what? What? What did she do? And they're out. And people did it. So, from that regard, I would be, if I'm unfaithful, I would want you out. I'd be like, no, because you playing a different way. You playing a different game, in my opinion. That's how I would see it. And if I'm a traitor, that's going to be the thing. We don't know who they're going to decide to murder because, like I mentioned earlier, Colton did say Lisa's name. Rob does actually tell Lisa because they are actually loyal this season. He tells Lisa, and Lisa's like, he has to go. He has to go. This is where it now gets very tricky. It gets really tricky here because if we keep murdering people that are innocent, or we keep murdering, not are innocent, we keep murdering people that keep mentioning our names, people are going to catch on. And everyone in that room heard Lisa's name. Everyone, he said it. So they're going to immediately look at Lisa. I just don't think it's worth the risk. At this point, y'all waited too late. You have to hope he gets banished. But then when he gets banished, now it still might be a risk because now they're like, okay, it wasn't Ron, it wasn't Michael, it wasn't Colton. They're gonna try Ron when it's not Ron. Okay, now we have to pivot and shift our game a little bit, and it may be a while to where they can get to you if you've built a good, um, again, social game with people that they won't guess you, because that's where that comes into play. Is if I feel good about you, I'm not gonna think it's you, but it gets dicier. So, I mean, either way, they're going to have to defend themselves at some point, but it's just a matter of sooner than later. Now, I would do want to pose, do I feel like they have lost the plot as traitors? Yes, because again, we got 2 votes that were based on what? Feeling? Like it wasn't based on anything concrete that you gathered and got research and you tried to come up with a hypothesis. It was purely just based on nothing. Tiffany, it was nothing. Michael, you just didn't like him. But I also think that is where it's an error in the game. Like there needs to be consequences. Me and my brother would talk about this all last year when we were watching season 3. There needs to be consequences for y'all voting home traitors, like faithfuls, whether it's money out the pot or something. There needs to be consequences so people can take it more seriously. Because, okay, I'm mad, I'm upset. We got this innocent person out who needed the money. But at the end of the day, you're less competition for me. So I really don't care. But if I make a penalty every time you mess up, 1, it intensifies roundtables, but 2, then y'all actually go to work. It pushes y'all to try to figure out who the traitors are. And you can make it challenging for the traitors as well. Cause I do like the murder in sight and lean more into that to make it more difficult. But I do think there needs to be a consequence. And I do agree that missions need to matter more than just safety from being murdered. Maybe they don't safety from being banished. Like or something to make it more interesting than me just seeing you get money, and these are fairly easy challenges if I'm being honest. Like you could afford to lose one. It's not it's better. It's more entertaining than earlier seasons, especially season 1. But I just do think they can do a little bit more there that can be a little bit more creative and get us more engaged. What else did I want to bring up? Yeah, I think I'm interested to see what they decide and how they're going to carry out this murder. I hope they're very smart about it because I don't want them to be careless and emotional with their votes so far. They've been working for them, but the longer they're in this game, we're gonna see. Those were the episodes 4 to 5 recapped. If there's something that I missed, feel free to comment and we can bring it up in the next episode 6, which will be airing on Thursday, and we'll come back Wednesday to talk about it some more. Again, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and over on TikTok and Instagram. I forgot to mention Instagram at the Lions Den Podcast. And on TikTok, we are talking Real Housewives of Potomac. We are talking Married to Medicine as well on there. And we are talking about Traitors just a little bit, but we deep dive over on here. So that is all that I have for you guys. And as a way to close out this episode, I have a message from Ron. Good night, everyone.
It's so scary, so stressful. But I gotta speak up. Table is so scary, so stressful. But I gotta speak up. I know what I heard. Portia, you're a traitor. I got you. Heard what you said.
I'm not a traitor. I'll start with that. But I'll also say I did probably misspeak.
Oh, you deny it all you want. Deny it all you want, but I heard what I heard. I heard what I heard, y'all.
Portia, you have received the most votes and are banished from the game. Please come forward to the circle of truth.
Go ahead, say the words. Portia is a traitor. Portia is a traitor.
I am a faithful.
Oh. Oh, she's a faithful. Oh. Oh, I did not know she had that much ass. I made a terrible mistake. I'll see your ass at the crossroads. I will see that big old ass at the crossroads. So you want me love?